And I think it's important to hold that God is relational, and relationship is about knowing, about connection, about discernment then, essentially. I mean, Barth, I'm just going to keep talking about Karl Barth. This Swiss theologian, phenomenal work. Wrote a huge, at least significant theological piece for the 20th century
Huge
church.
is an understatement.
Yes, I think in English it's 6 million words or something like that. Meanwhile, also was at the foundation of the Confessing Church, fighting Hitler, all sorts of stuff.
Yes.
And managed to develop a pretty vibrant prison ministry during this process as well as being a professor. There was a joke apparently in his later life. In his later life, he literally taught in lecture halls, and preached in prisons. And there was a joke that some young seminary students were tempted to get arrested just so they could hear him preach, because the only place he would preach was in prisons.
There you go.
He says this. He says the crucial task for humanity. Let me just kind of reword this because I'm extracting here. The crucial task for humanity is to determine whether to have a religion based in revelation.
Yeah.
Right? So is our religion, and this is all thinking about the argument Stephen's got going, is our religion something which God has revealed to us? I.e., we do things like this because it references the Jesus that we're following. He says, or do we have a revelation of religion, i.e., something we have, as humans, have created in order to be more holy, right? And then he says this: one attends to God's self-giving, one, or the other rather, to human forms of pious living. Right?
Yeah.
Now, I said my sermon wasn't a critique of Jordan Peterson, and this podcast is not going to be. But just think about that theological statement.
Yeah.
What type of religion do you have? One that is rooted in the revelation of God to us, or one which we've made up? One will be about grace, God's self-giving. One will be about piety, try harder.
Yeah.
Right? And the long history of the church, from going back into I think the 3rd century, you've got Augustine and Pelagius. Pelagius saying we just got to try hard and impress God. Augustine saying, nope, it's about grace. History has held that Christian orthodoxy has always been, it's about grace, not trying hard. But humans love trying hard.
Yes.
We actually like being afraid, right? And we like being afraid of falling short because it gives us something to aim from and try hard. But we can't try hard enough. Barth then continues to sort of basically say, he said, he says this. He says, the key methodological commitment for proper theology is to keep revelation prior to religion and never reverse the order. So if we're going to work out how to do church, the idea is the revelation of God always precedes the way that we practice being church.
Right.
Otherwise, what will happen is we'll forget about trying to model Jesus, and instead we'll just be a church.
Right.
Again, think about what's going on in, Jesus. The Holy Spirit is moving, and in Acts chapter 7, the religious structures are trying to shut it down.
Yeah.
So this, I think, is really interesting, particularly for us as a community. Barth, writing in the kind of, we're getting towards 70 years ago now, says, free inquiry into the things of God must be pursued for the sake of truth. So all questions are open. Let's see what God's going to say. He says this: conservatism that will not question is a function of fear. Essentially, the religion creates a sense of, don't ask that question, don't go there, this is not acceptable to deal with. It builds walls to protect religious beliefs through appealing to human reasonableness. Right? So Barth says when we get our religion the other side of revelation, when we forget about God and commit to religion, we will then start to be afraid of what happens when our religion is attacked. So the way we deal with that is we don't let people ask questions. We don't let people talk, and we build walls to keep danger out. So you can tell why I love this. Because I'm thinking you've got Barth saying, be Jesus-centered, ensure you've got good dialogue, and actually stop keeping people out that will help us on our path to wholeness. So you can kind of see that there's something going on in there.
Yeah.
But I think we see that happen in this story of Stephen. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, this is a bit scary. How do we shut it down? And Barth's saying that's not the religion that is revealed to us in Jesus. And I think that's really important stuff for us to, as any Christian, to think about, actually.